Hey guys, BuffyQ32 here again. Hope you're doing well today. Today I thought I'd tell you guys a story about someone who has played an incredibly large role in my life in almost every aspect that you can imagine. For the purpose of this video, he's definitely the person who got me interested in firearms and knives. And he told me a story years ago that I've always remembered, and I thought I'd share with you guys because it's pretty interesting and certainly has a lot to do with pocket knives. Of course, the man I'm talking about is my grandfather. It's the man who you see in the picture here. He's still alive and doing very well today. I'm very blessed to still have both my grandfather and my grandmother. They're more active than most folks my age, I know. It's probably what's helped keep them as healthy as they are. But I wanted to tell a story about when he was in the Navy. You see here I've got one of the pictures from when he was, I think in this photo, I think he's maybe 17. But anyway, a story from when he was in the Navy. And it's kind of the importance of always having a pocket knife on you. My grandfather served on the Howard Crow, the U.S.S. Howard Crow. It was a destroyer escort. It was built in the late 1930s. He served in the early 50s. And this is kind of an interesting story of something that happened to him. One of the things that they would often do aboard the ships is they would do transfers. They would transfer things from one ship to another. And when they would do that, they would have to get both of the ships fairly close together, while at sea, of course, and they would run a line from one ship to the other. Well, when they would do this, of course, since you're out at sea, the ships would occasionally want to drift apart or drift into one another, depending on what the weather conditions were like, how rough the sea was. And when they would do this, they would run a line from one ship to the other, and they would put men on each end of the line. Okay, well, as this rope would expand, as it would tighten up, the threads of the rope would tighten. Okay, if you can kind of visualize, they would tighten up. And of course, as the ships would drift in closer together, the rope had room to kind of expand, the threads on the rope. Well, when the sailors would get on either side of this rope to do one of these transfers, whether it was usually cargo or things like that, or occasionally they would even have to transfer a man from one ship to the other. Whenever they would do this, of course, all the men were wearing life jackets, life vests. And my grandfather told me that they were always told, make sure you don't have anything, any of the straps dangling loose in your life vest. They always told them, you tuck them in, you fold them in, whatever you have to do, you don't have any loose straps hanging. Well, of course, one time, my grandfather forgot, and he had one loose strap from the life vest that was dangling. Well, he was on this line, and they were doing a transfer, and the rope had expanded. Okay, one of the lines from his life vest went down into that rope, and as soon as that strap got into that rope, the ships drifted apart and the rope tightened, and his strap was locked into that rope. When this happened, the rope started going over the edge of the ship. It started to pull the line. Well, my grandfather was going right along with that line. He said as tight as that rope was, there was no way he was getting the strap out of that line. And he had a matter of seconds to react. It was certainly not enough time for him to get the life vest off. And the straps on this vest, I'm assuming probably nylon straps. It wasn't something he was just going to, give a quick pull and tear the strap. So as the line started to pull and he starts inching his way towards the edge of the ship, about to go overboard, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his just generic folding pocket knife and cut the line. He said, you know, a few seconds later, and he would have definitely gone overboard. And who knows what his fate would have been had that happened. But I've always found that story very vivid. I can clearly imagine this happening in my mind, because that's just, it's too specific to make up, you know, and I can imagine the horror in his mind as he almost went overboard. But he had always, before he even went into the Navy, he had always collected knives as a kid. But I think from that moment on, I think that was probably the moment in his life when he was officially sold on always having a pocket knife with him. Did the pocket knife save his life? Who knows if it officially saved his life, but it definitely saved him from going overboard. Now, had he gone overboard, like I said, I don't know what his fate would have been. You know, they may have been able to get him back out of the water quickly, or maybe not. Who knows? But, you know, you may think that carrying something like a pocket knife on you every day is only, it's only going to come into a utility role. But you may be surprised one day. It may come in use in a way that you don't expect it to. I'm sure it did for my grandfather that day. So anyway, just kind of an interesting little story. I have here, laying next to it, my Victorinox Cadet, just because this is kind of my example of a knife that if I don't have anything else with me, you know, if I'm not carrying one of the larger pocket knives, I've always got this little Cadet with me. Great little knife. You know, Victorinox doesn't make any junk, in my opinion. But just kind of an interesting story. I thought you guys might enjoy hearing that about my grandfather and his folding knife, keeping him dry that day at least. So hope you guys enjoyed that story. I intend to get some more videos put out here in the next few days, so just keep an eye out for those. Thanks for watching. See you next time.